Hey, my name is Jimmy Fung. I'm a 23-year-old in Toronto, Canada. And in today's video, I want to share with you a live sales call that I had. And the reason why I'm sharing it with you is because I want to show you exactly the type of questions that you want to be asking, the way you want to navigate that conversation if you're taking sales calls for your own lead generation agency, or if you're selling any other service online, right? Obviously, my specific example, I'm selling cold emails as a service. So basically lead generation. My entire YouTube channel is talking about cold emails and lead generation. So if you are selling other services, let's say Facebook ads, SEO, website design, this exact same process will still apply. You just obviously have to switch up the type of questions, the specific things you're saying. And I have different videos on my YouTube channel talking about how to close clients on Zoom calls, the type of questions you want to be asking. But obviously, when I recorded those videos, it was more so the theory. So hopefully in this video, you're able to see precisely how I'm able to take those theories, those questions, and apply it in real life over an actual conversation. And I hope you find this video valuable. Hey Larry, how's it going? How are you?
Hi, Jimmy. How are you? Fine, thank you.
That's awesome to hear, man. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually calling in from Ireland here.
Oh, nice. I'm calling in from Toronto, Canada. So it's a bit cold here, but I know we put, I think it was 45 minutes on the calendar today. We probably wouldn't use all of that time. But if it's good with you, let's jump right into it, shall we?
Will do.
Okay, awesome, Larry. Cool. So I know I reached out to you over emails. I sent you a cold email talking briefly about what we did. We also sent you over the video. But I guess what I'm curious about is um, what kind of prompted you to jump onto this call, right? Is there anything in specific that you wanted to chat about? Anything like that?
Yeah, to be honest, Jimmy, I'm looking to do, or I would say the business is looking to do, more lead generation with some consistency. Because I'm working in, we're working with SaaS at the moment. Um, it's more referral-based business, and I'm looking to have something more consistent. So what piqued my interest, to be honest, is your video. The email I got obviously piqued my interest, and then I went over to the video, which I found quite educational. Now I will say, we have tried one or two lead generation agencies before, so I know what's involved. I know about cold email, but to be honest, we've been burned more than once. So, I'm very skeptical about this, to be honest. But I know, if we got the right partner here, I do believe the cold email could be a sales channel that ticks the box for us. So that's why.
100%, Larry. That makes sense, right? And obviously, there are a lot of people doing cold emails. A lot of people I chat with, they kind of say something similar where they worked with someone else or they tried it and it just never worked out. I guess what I'm curious about, Larry, is I took a look at your website right before this call. I feel like I kind of understand what you guys do, what you guys sell. But I want to ask you directly and hear from you directly. Obviously, you guys provide software development services. And it looks like you guys are doing it for SaaS companies. But what type of SaaS companies? Like, is there a specific location that you guys work with? Any specific criteria? What does that kind of look like for you guys, Larry?
Yeah, well, we work now. The Irish market is very small, so we work both in the Irish and the UK, and we're actually the industry we're servicing at the moment is actually the insurance industry. So, what we try and do is we develop like when we get clients in, they're looking to develop an MVP specifically. So we start out with that process, and on the basis of they're happy with the MVP, we go in and then develop the full product for them. So.
Right. That makes sense. So right now you're mainly working in the Ireland insurance SaaS. That's the specific niche. Just out of curiosity, right? Have you considered, reaching out to companies in, let's say, North America, in other areas of Europe, let's say UK, Australia, New Zealand, or just strictly Ireland as of right now?
I guess the reason we're using Ireland and both Ireland now and the UK, and the UK obviously is a much bigger market,
Yeah.
is time zone more than anything else, to be honest, Jimmy. Yeah, look, we may be looking to expand. We are limited with some capacity. I'm not sure about, bringing on new guys and having to train them in a short space of time that if we went out to the US or, the likes of New Zealand or Australia. But yeah, longer term, it is definitely in the pipeline.
100%, Larry. That makes sense. And no, the only reason I was asking is because what we found is obviously your services, it could apply to pretty much anyone around the world. I guess you're English speaking. So as long as they are English speaking clients, these SaaS companies, insurance SaaS companies, then what you do could definitely apply in those industries as well. So I took a look at your site. I saw you do have a few case studies, right? I'd be curious to ask, how do you guys get those clients? I know you said you tried cold emails in the past, worked with some lead gen agencies, but what would you say is your current sales process, and what does that kind of look like right now?
Be honest, we've done some paid advertising, and now it was expensive, but we actually did get some quality leads from that. And I do know some people in the industry. We go to some conferences as well. So we get some referrals from that. So, probably 80% of my business or our business at the moment is referral based. Maybe not by direct people, but indirectly as well. So hence why I'm looking to expand on that and have something with maybe a better degree of consistency. And hence why I'm even looking at cold email as a sales channel.
100%. So it sounds like kind of your main priority with this, aside from just generating more meetings and interest, is you're looking for that consistency factor. Is that right, Larry?
That would be yes.
100%. Yeah, no, and that's kind of the main benefit of cold emails, right? Is because um, a lot of people, right, they're running ads, or the main source of customers and clients are word of mouth and referrals, right? Which is obviously, not that consistent, although they are some of the highest quality leads that you can ever get. But what we do is we focus more so on the cold email side of things, where it is more scalable and it is way more consistent if it's set up the right way. So I'm curious to hear, Larry. Obviously, you're running this software development agency. What does your team look like, right? Do you have partners? Do you have, a bunch of employees? Do you do this yourself? What does that kind of look like right now?
Well, I'm the boss, so to speak. Okay, so we've got three developers on staff. I do have a CTO and a CMO as such as well outside of the developers. So the CMO, yeah, would make some of the marketing decisions, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. So
100%. So on the aspect of sales, then, right? And I guess jumping on these sales calls to talk with prospective clients, would you say that's something that you typically do, or do you have a salesperson, or is that kind of falls under the realm of the CMO?
it would normally fall under the realm of the CMO, but like as I'll be making the decision anyway, I'm happy enough to do that for now. So.
100%, Larry. And I don't want to bombard you with questions, right? But one of the things that was quite interesting to me was you mentioned that you worked with a few lead generation agencies, and for whatever reasons, it just kind of never, it never worked out, right? I'm assuming they did cold emails for you, or did they do other channels, or just strictly cold emails?
I think some of them did the LinkedIn as well, the direct messaging on LinkedIn, but primarily cold email, yeah.
Got it, 100%. And obviously, they never worked out. Uh, just based on your understanding of things, why do you think that is? Is it maybe the people they're reaching out to, which is wrong? They don't send in a volume. Maybe they're just not that good at writing the cold emails. Why do you think that is, Larry?
Well, Jimmy, to be honest, I think it may be a combination of all three. I did give him a good chance. I understood well that there was a lead-in time for this, the warm-up phase. I was familiar with all of that. But what I felt was that, I gave him the criteria for the lead lists as such, scraping those emails. And I was just a little surprised with, after about 5 weeks in, we just weren't getting anything. And then when I questioned them on one or two of the meetings, it sounded like, when I questioned about how many emails are actually being sent out, I think the reference maybe 200, 2 to 300, which, being familiar with the process, I felt at that stage that probably should be a multiple of five of that.
Right.
As I say, volume negates luck, as you probably well know.
100%, Larry. And I completely agree with that statement. So it sounds like it was a combination of things. Volume, obviously, at the top. Maybe the people you're reaching out to was just not that good. And maybe the messaging was a little off, right? So what I'm curious about, right? And kind of the reason why I asked you about those, your past experiences is obviously you worked with a few lead gen agencies. It hasn't worked out. And obviously we are a lead generation agency. So do you think working with us or what we do might give you a different result, right? Obviously, it never worked out, right? But we're on this call, right? What do you think about that?
Well, I guess the seeing the video and your own case studies and the proof and all that. like I said, I know and probably believe that it's a sales channel that will work. I know there's a bit of like there's a good bit of testing to go on, but and hence why I'm mad keen to try and get some consistency in relation to lead generation. So third time lucky to say, Jimmy.
Yeah, third time's the charm. 100%, Larry. So, just based on what we're talking about right now, I definitely feel like, we can help you out, especially with what we do with the cold email space. I'd like to talk a little bit more about our services and what specifically we do. Before I do that, I'd be curious to hear, right? Obviously, you're looking for consistency, but do you have any specific like revenue targets, goals in terms of book meetings, anything of that nature, or not really at this time?
Yeah, no, I would like to, I have an expectation, like, our lead in time for projects, are kind of in and around the 3 month time frame. So look, success for me would be even getting like, three projects. So if I was able to get three projects in kind of 3 month time frame, that's success for me. Ideally, yes, I'd love more, but kind of walk before you can run here. So
Yeah.
yeah, three projects in kind of 90 days is actually would be a success for this.
100%, Larry. And yeah, no. So what we do here at salesway.io, our lead generation agency, I'm very confident I'd be able to help you get three clients, at least three clients in the next 90 days. I think that's kind of the bare minimum. If it's good with you, I could quickly run over with you kind of what we do, our services, and how I think I can help you. Is that cool with you?
That's great. Yeah, go ahead.
For sure, Larry. So just just at the top, basically the way it works is I know you watched our video, but we are kind of a cold email agency. We work with different software development agencies, and we pretty much help them generate sales calls for the calendar, right? That's the overall idea of what we do. We do this entirely using cold emails, and there are a bunch of different parts to this. So if you have questions, feel free to stop me and ask me. But basically, the overall idea of how it works is if we were to work together, the very first thing is we would need to understand your business in much more detail, right? What you guys sell specifically, who you guys work with specifically, what your timelines are, what your current process is, and taking that customer from the second you sign them towards developing the MVP and building out the software for them. So we really want to understand that. And the reason why is because when we're reaching out to people over cold emails, we want to be as specific as possible in terms of your services and how specifically you can help them. So that's the first thing that we do. After that, we go back and we set up all the emails, right? Obviously, we're sending cold emails. We want to set up all the email accounts. We want to write all your cold email scripts. We want to scrape the leads, right? That's pretty standard stuff. And that's the overall idea. And then so that process does take 14 days. But once that process is done, we actually launch the cold email campaigns. And at that point, we're basically just testing different things. And at that point, you should start expecting replies. And obviously, replies equals to booked meetings. But that's pretty much the process, right? And I know I didn't go into too much detail. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you want me to go in more detail, I could go in more detail as well. But what questions do you have for me, Larry?
Okay. Well, no, look, as I said, because I am familiar with the process. To me, the next question is price. What's your price?
Yeah, 100%, Larry. So the way it works for our pricing is I did mention it in the cold emails that we sent you. We do work on performance. We do have a setup fee. It's $2,500. The reason it's 2,500 is because we're setting up cold emails and these email accounts does cost money. Putting all these things together does cost money. So there is a fixed fee involved. But the way it works is every single call that we generate you, it would be $250, right? So if we generate you 10 calls, then obviously you're going to get clients from that. But if we don't generate you results at all, then obviously you would not be paying beyond that setup fee. But that's kind of what that looks like. Does that make sense, Larry?
It was, yeah, a bit more expensive now than the other guys I was using. Actually, yeah, look, one of the guys was doing a paper call as well, and he was only charging. Now, when I say he was only charging, I think it was 180 is what he was charging. So now, I suppose the other side of that is I didn't get any, I didn't get any leads. So, is there any way we could work on like 250 is a bit more than I'm willing to pay? Is there any way that we could work on a close basis instead?
100%, Larry. And the way it works is because what we're looking for is more of a long-term partner. right? And that's kind of why we do that pricing model of a performance, because obviously what we do is generate meetings. So that's within the realm of our control. We would be open to exploring a revenue share or a commission based on closes, but obviously those are some elements that we can't control, right? It's dependent on your sales team, the sales ability, stuff of that nature. So what we mainly focus on is more so getting those appointments onto your calendar so that you can close more deals and make more money. But that's kind of the overall premise. And to answer your question, we wouldn't be able to start with a commission or based on closes just because those are elements, we can't control. You're a business person, I'm a business person. That's just how it works. But it is something that we'd be open to exploring down the line, right? So that's kind of how that works, right? If that makes sense.
Okay. So would you do any option like, maybe including the first few calls as part of that setup fee? That would be closer to our goal, for example.
100%. And when you say adding a few costs into the setup fee, do you have anything in mind, like a specific number, what that could look like?
Well, I suppose, maybe the first three, something like that, and, to just cheapen the deal for us and make it more attractive.
100%. Yeah, no, I completely understand. We could do three. The only thing I'd say is, if I could get, I guess, your commitment basically, right? If we were able to include the first three calls into the setup fee, and obviously the performance will kick in after those three calls. So, for example, the fourth call, the fifth call, the sixth call. Do you think this is something that you'd be interested in getting started with, or not really?
No, that's something I would be interested in getting started with. Yeah.
100%, Larry. Awesome, man. So, where do you want to go from here then, right? Obviously, we talked about how it works. I know you had some questions about the process. Hopefully, I answered them. And we talked about the investment and what that could look like in terms of the setup fee and the performance model. So, where do you want to go with this from here?
Yeah, well, look, listen, I'm at this point, I'm probably key. Look, I'll try it out. That's the way I would view it. Bit skeptical, Jimmy, still, but as I said, I was impressed with your VSL and your case studies. So, look, I am willing to give this a go. But have you got some sort of an agreement or something I'd like to take a look at first, just to make sure that we cross the I's and cross the T's and dot the I's?
Yeah. No, of course. We do business by the books. Everything we do has agreements. Everything we talked about, the guarantee, the setup fees, the performance, all of that stuff is written down on the agreements. I know you mentioned you are a little bit skeptical. Is there anything in specific that you're a little bit unsure of? Maybe the process, how it works, anything like that?
Oh, not really, Jimmy. It's more that, as I said, look, I've had the success and I've had two goes of it already, so that's purely, it's not on a skeptical of your business per se, but the model, I've tried it twice and it hasn't worked. And as I said, I'm hoping for third time lucky.
100%, Larry. So why don't we do this, right? What I could do is I could send you over the invoice for the initial setup fee. I'll put together the agreements right after this call, talking about what's included as part of the setup fee, the first three calls, and then the performance model. What's the best email to send you over the invoice and the agreement to?
The email that we had here on the Zoom call. So yeah, you can use that one.
No worries, Larry. So I sent you over the invoice. I'll send you over the agreement. I'd be curious to hear in terms of timelines, right? Mainly so that I could go back and estimate for my own business. When do you think you want to get started?
Well, to be honest, this is something I want to start ASAP. So, if you, I'll go check my email now, and if I like what I see in the agreement, let's look at getting maybe this kicked off next Monday.
100%, Larry. So while I have you on this call, obviously the first step is setting up the onboarding call, where on that call, I want to understand your business and put together your offer and all of that stuff. Why don't we set up the call right now? And obviously I'll pull up the calendar, booking the call. Awesome, Larry. It was a great chat today. I'm very confident that I'll be able to help you get 3 clients in the next 90 days. I think that's very realistic, very feasible. Just let me know once the invoice is taken care of, and we'll get started with the client onboarding process right away.